NASCAR is coming back to Chicago. A 4th of July weekend festival of music and racing through downtown Chicago's iconic streets.
Well, how's the ball, boys? It's going to be a good one.
The biggest names in music headline the stage, while the brightest stars in NASCAR chase the checkered flag.
That's that cool.
The Chicago Street Race Weekend. For tickets and experiences, visit NASCARChicago.com.
Roll Tide and welcome to this Thursday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. This is Roger Hoover. Great to welcome you into our Tuscaloosa studios for this week's edition as we continue our show through the rest of June before a little bit of a summer break. But right now, we're talking Alabama football. The Crimson Tide gearing up for the 2024 season. And to start our show today, we'll be talking with defensive lineman L.T. Overton. He comes to Alabama in the transfer portal from Texas A&M, but he's had some time here before. We'll talk about that in a great conversation with LT coming up shortly. Then we'll take a look at the Bama Standard Episode 2 inside the episode with Malachi Moore, Alabama defensive back, a captain from last year's team. He'll join us as well from inside the Advantage Center at Bryant-Denny Stadium, where both of these interviews were recorded, to talk about his role in the Bama Standard, again, fueled by Gatorade, inside the episode for Episode 2. A great conversation coming up with Malachi Moore. And then we'll take a look at everything that took place last week in Eugene, Oregon for the NCAA Track and Field Championships. Some good news for the Crimson Tide, especially for Doris Lehman-Gole. That's the start of our headlines presented by our friends at RJ Young. RJ Young is the official technology solutions provider of Crimson Drive. They've given us the smart board to go through everything coming up on the show today. So that's what we'll have in terms of our original interviews for today. A few other notes for the Crimson Tide football team. Earlier in the week, 6 game times were announced, and then all the others have been slated for either an afternoon start or a flex start. So afternoon, somewhere in an afternoon window, the flex could mean 2:30, it could mean 7 o'clock. So we'll just wait for those game times to be announced. But still, at this point, leading into football season, we've never had these many game times already in the books. So make your travel plans to get here to Tuscaloosa or join the Crimson Tide on the road. More details available at RolledTide.com. We do know that the season is going to start coming up on August 31st against Western Kentucky. 6 p.m. the kickoff at Bryant-Denny Stadium, and our coverage will start at 3 o'clock on the network. Don't forget, the Bama Standard fueled by Gatorade Episode 2 is now out. It was released on Wednesday with Malachi Moore. We'll talk about the episode with him coming up in a moment. And some other notes around Crimson Tide athletics. The men's basketball team, it was announced they will be at North Carolina in the SEC-ACC Challenge. A great rematch coming up at the Sweet 16 matchup that Alabama won this past year in Los Angeles to move on to the Elite Eight and then ultimately the Final Four. So we love seeing that for the Crimson Tide. Women's basketball team in the SEC-ACC Challenge will also be on the road, going all the way to California. Yes, the Cal Golden Bears are now part of the Atlantic Coast Conference. So Crimson Tide will be playing at Cal right before the first weekend in December, so we look forward to that matchup between Alabama and Cal. And then it was also announced earlier this morning that the Crimson Tide men's basketball team will be playing in Las Vegas for a Feast Week, a tournament coming up Thanksgiving week. More details available at RolledTide.com. Congratulations to Alabama assistant gymnastics coach Justin Spring, a former Olympian himself. He'll be on NBC's coverage for the Paris Olympics coming up this summer, so he'll be representing Alabama very well on the NBC broadcast. And then congratulations to Gage Miller, Crimson Tide third baseman, a third-team baseball All-America. What a year he had, leading Alabama in home runs and being just a great table setter at the top of the order for the Crimson Tide. From baseball, we go to football, and we go to Bryant-Denny Stadium to catch up with L.T. Overton. Fans are already buzzing about his great performance in the spring for Alabama. Now he's getting set for his first fall, wearing the crimson and white instead of the maroon and white he used to wear at Texas A&M. Here's a fun conversation with L.T. Overton to begin today's edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Roll Tide and welcome to Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, as we're coming to you from inside Bryant-Denny Stadium at the Advantage Center at our studios. I'm Roger Hoover, pleased to be joined by Alabama defensive lineman L.T. Overton as we talk about what's coming up for the Crimson Tide this year. And first of all, L.T., welcome to the Crimson Tide football family, or should I say welcome back, considering you've been here before.
Appreciate that.
How meaningful is it just to be back around this campus, and now you were growing up, you got to be around Alabama football a little bit, but now that you're a Crimson Tide football player, how meaningful is it?
I mean, it's a crazy experience because, like, growing up, especially, like, being here and then going to Atlanta, a lot of fans thought I was going to go to Georgia or either here, but I ended up going to A&M just because of the relationship I have with my coach. But I feel like I've always had like a connection with Alabama in some way or fashion. But I feel great. Like, it feels great being back. I see a whole bunch of changes in the facility, a whole bunch of new guys, new faces. And then when you see the old faces, they'll be like, "Hey, you're Milton's son, ain't it?" Like, they just know my dad. So it's good being around.
That's definitely good, and we're glad you're back. Tell us about this time of the year. What's most important? Kind of what's your week structured like? As you're in a lot of strength and conditioning work, some individual work too.
So basically, like, we'll have our workouts more in the morning. That's kind of what DeBoer brought in. Like, I think how Alabama did it, there were more afternoon workouts, and that's how I did it back at A&M too. So it's kind of a new, like, feeling towards workouts for me, because I'm usually working out at the hottest part of the day, but now we're kind of getting there early in the morning and getting all our schoolwork done in the afternoon. So it's a different change. It's a good change, different change. But like, we'll work out. We'll have our workouts early in the morning, and then from there we'll go to. Well, if you have classes, you can go to classes. But we'll have study hall tutoring, and then most of the guys will go back in later in the afternoon and get work in if we schedule it that day.
Are you watching much film at all this time of the year, or any kind of game prep, or any just kind of X's and O's at this point?
It's more like game prep, kind of getting back to studying our playbook and really understanding, because, we got a whole new defensive staff too. So just really understand the playbook and getting a better understanding of how it's going to flow into the game when we play.
What do you like most about some of the strength and conditioning stuff? Do you love being in the weight room?
I love being in the weight room. I'm not going to lie. It's crazy because I came in at about 245, 250, and now I'm standing at 275, 280. So I just love the weight room. It's a huge difference, huge change. I know the strength and conditioning staff back at A&M changed, but it's just a huge difference from there to here, because they like literally have their own man-made stuff that no other organization has. So it's a good experience. Like, throughout, it's been an amazing experience throughout the whole time I've been here.
For your position, what's really most important that you're trying to target when you're in the weight room? How can you get stronger at this point?
I feel like really like lower body and more of back, because that's like really our aiming points. Like, as soon as we're getting off, we're exploding with our legs, and then most of our back muscles are activated. So I feel like Alabama's really like put in like the time and effort and the forming like workouts for stuff like that, especially seeing how strong your hamstrings are, seeing if they can strengthen certain muscles to make you a better athlete overall.
That's certainly good. So you're now part of the Alabama Crimson Tide. We'll start to get into your journey just a little bit. You mentioned your dad, first of all, Milton Overton. What can you tell us about him and his football career, and then how his career impacted you growing up?
So he played at the University of Oklahoma, but he started as an assistant athletic director here at Alabama. Started at A&M. That's where I was born, and then transitioned here to Alabama right when Nick Saban came in here. And from then, like, that's when I started really building a relationship with all, like, football, because I was always around the guys. Like, I used to go to Nick Saban's house when I was a kid, play with his grandkids and do all that. So it was like, and then my dad, as soon as he got done, like, coming here at Alabama, he ended up going to Florida A&M to get that, like, actual athletic director job. And then from there, he went to KSU, and that's what he's doing now.
That's really good. Yeah, a great tenure he's had at Kennesaw State already.
Mm-hmm.
Getting to grow up in athletics, you mentioned you got to go to Coach Saban's house. How about just basically, always kind of feeling at home on a campus? Have you really always had that?
Oh, yeah, always. I feel like, because my whole family's athletic. So my mom played volleyball at Kentucky. Brother's playing football at Arkansas State right now. I grew up playing football with him, high school and in college as well. So, and then my dad, him at Oklahoma. I've always just been in that sport background. So we've always been competitive, always been high on the sport gene.
Yeah, tell us a little more about your relationship with your brother and how, you guys would have your backyard battles, I'm sure, and then eventually got to play together.
Man, me and my brother, we've always battled. Like, I was always a little brother. But as soon as I started getting bigger, like, he always used to be able to pump me around. Like, that's why I always used to, like, build up on. That's what I feel like he's always made me like better because of that. He always used to be able to pull me around, but as soon as I grew up, like it's like he's starting to take my hits now, and we just been building off relationship on that. Like it's like a tough brotherly love thing, but we're just making each other better. I feel like we make each other better at everything. Like when it comes to sports or academics, like I'm telling him, hey, you got to get on your work. Like you got to make sure because you got a future ahead of you. And then with sports, it's like, oh, we're always going at each other. Like when we're playing back at A&M, like I'm on his butt every day. Like, hey, we got to do this. Like we about to go on the field. We here tonight. We here in the morning. Like this is what we got to do. And then now that we're distanced from each other, it's more like, hey, like we'll be on the game with each other. Like we'll still have our competitiveness there, but now it's like we calling each other now and then. Like, hey, how you doing? Like everything all right? Seeing if we still in touch. We just always keep in touch.
Did that make your transition into playing some organized sports a lot easier, the fact that you've been going up against him all this time? And then because you were reclassified essentially, didn't you play like high school football starting in 8th grade?
Basically, like, because they had Alabama. I played at Bessemer Academy, and, it was academy, so I was able to play 8th grade. I was able to play varsity in 8th grade. And I feel like him just being there, like playing with me, that was really a startup because that's when I first got to actually play on the same team as my brother, and it's just always been a connection that made me thrive. Like we always feed off each other's energy.
That's certainly really good. You mentioned the years you were here in Tuscaloosa. What were some of the favorite games? Some of the favorite moments you had cheering on the Crimson Tide during that time?
I'm not gonna lie. When I was growing up as a kid, even though I was always here, I was a Clemson fan. I can't lie.
Where'd that start?
It started more like early middle school when I went to one of Dabo Swinney's camps. I was like, man, it's a beautiful campus, like great vibes, but like, we just had to grow out of it. It's a grow out of it type of situation. But yeah, I had to kind of force my hand. I was always against everybody, like especially back when Alabama and Clemson were playing each other in the national championship. It was just me versus my family, or me versus like whoever we were hanging out with, and it would be like, hey, at the end of the day, it's just sports. So,
well, at least Dabo played here. He's part of the. Coached here a little bit as assistant. At least he's part of the family.
Yeah.
That's certainly good. Anybody else like that, or just some other contacts your dad may have that you got to know at kind of an early age that really helped shape you?
What do you mean, like? Just
whether it was a coach or different camp experiences you got to have, like how much, any other influences like that?
Oh, when my dad was working back at when we were back at Florida A&M, that's where I started building like a big relationship with Jimbo. Like I really knew him before, like he went to A&M, and him and Coach Cochran when he was back down here, that was my guy. Like he was always calling me, "Hey LT, what you doing, man? What you doing, dog? You working, dog?" I'm like, he was always that guy.
Pretty energetic on the phone, just like all the clips we've seen of him and strength and conditioning stuff.
Yeah.
That's certainly good. When did you start to realize when you were starting to play some high school football that, all right, college is definitely going to be a possibility?
So it's crazy that you asked that. As soon as I left Alabama and went to a school in Georgia, like I really just went there, like just play ball, like just get better competition. Like, I'm not saying Alabama football is bad at all, but like 7A ball in Georgia is just different. And I didn't think, like, after that freshman year, I had like a crazy freshman year. I didn't think 24/7 Sports and Ride was all that. Like, they drove down and just announced me #1 player overall that day. And it just out of nowhere, just a random day, just came to my practice and said, hey, we're going to name you #1 overall player. And from there, I was like, man, if I'm going to be that big of a target, like I have to start working, or people are just going to keep trying to outwork me, or I'm going to get injured because people are going to just start trying to make a name off themselves on me. So that's where I started dedicating myself.
Did you like the recruiting process? Was it sometimes too much attention, or you're hearing from too many journalists or schools? Did you ever have to shut it down at some point?
It was good. Like freshman, sophomore year was good, but once you keep going through a few years of it, like it gets to a point where it's like, hey, I'm just kind of saying the same stuff over and over again, doing the same stuff. Like y'all just gotta let me decide where I want to go instead of trying to push me into certain areas or try to just get a word out of me.
Did you like the visits too? Different
Oh yeah,
places?
it was amazing. Like visits, you get to see different atmospheres, get to like see how different fans react, and like all of it was a great experience. I couldn't tell you like how much I enjoyed just being around different settings and getting like different vibes from different people.
And then ultimately, what led to Texas A&M being the first choice for you out of high school?
Really, my coach, Coach Terry Price. He passed away, but he was always there for me. Like he flew down, even came to basketball games, and it was always that supporter for me. And it was really between Coach Price and Coach Roach. Like those my two guys, and I feel like I've always had Coach Roach to fall back onto. So that's like Price he was always there for me, and he taught me everything, like most everything I know today. And I can't ever I always got to fall back on that.
How good were you at basketball? Do you miss it?
Oh, I'd be at the rec. I still be at the rec. Like there's nothing to miss. I still be at the rec. And if anybody's watching right now, it's on the Alabama football team. I just want to let them know they can't guard me. No one on the team can guard me. And that's just coming from me. Like I said, with all means respect, it's just coming from me.
I think we need to have our own series then. We need to take a camera crew, watch you out there against the rest of your teammates, make sure you can back that up.
Oh, yeah.
What position did you play? What was your style of game in basketball?
I played forward, but position we was in, I actually played with a highly recruited team at Milton High School. We played teams like IMG, Mount Verde. Like we were playing in the ESPN, like top 100 games. And like
so you played against some really good guys, right?
I played against some dogs. Like I'm talking, I played with, you know who Isaiah Coyer is?
Yeah.
Played with him. Played with Cannon Carlisle. Played with Bruce Thornton. And then when we were playing, it was just bring back so many memories. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Hey, that's what the show's for.
Yeah, but
that's really cool. So again, you're still dominating at the rec then.
Oh yeah, got to. As soon as I go on the rec, see my squad, I'm like, he's good. Oh yeah, there go my guard. There go my big. I know what I want. I know what I need because I play forward. So I know I'll be picky, choosy, not gonna lie, because I'm really competitive. So and I like to win.
You play against some random students, and it takes them a minute to be like, wait a second, this guy's on the football team.
Yeah. But I ain't gonna lie, like some of them in the rec, they really be some rec. They be some dogs in the rec. I'd be surprised that they don't try to walk on Alabama or anything, because you'll be surprised at how many athletes there are at the rec.
That's really good. Well, again, you made that choice to go to Texas A&M. What was the transition like for you playing high school football into college football, especially in the SEC?
Man, it was a crazy experience. I came into college 280. That first fall camp, lost 40 pounds. And I never thought, especially under Jimbo, I never thought I'd question football in my life. 'Cause I love football so much. I never thought I'd question it until that freshman year. It was a crazy transition, extremely crazy. And it brought, many experiences and many life lessons through it, like values. I had to pressure myself and to keep pushing myself to do things I really didn't feel like doing, especially school wise. I was in a business school at A&M my first semester, and that's one of their top programs. So I was like, school is killing me, football killing me. What am I going to do? And that's when I had my brother to be like, hey, you got to lock in. You can do this. I feel you. Freshman year always gets you. This the weed out year. You'll be okay. And then I just finally started locking in, and just from there, so I just started developing a thought, oh, I just gotta start scheduling. This is what I need to do. Boom, 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 boom. Then football, boom. Get this done. Film, study, lift, practice, and it's just all guys, just make sure you schedule that thing. It's all a continuously schedule.
I'm playing with Texas A&M as well. You got to experience Alabama on the other sideline after you've been here in the stadium cheering on the Crimson Tide as much. I mean, how surreal was that, first of all, to step on that field and get to play for the Aggies?
It was a crazy experience. When they say the 12th man is strong, I never thought I thought they were kidding at first, but when you go, like when you step on that field and see that crowd waving back and forth, like it's a different experience. And like they're just the fan base so dedicated, and just playing on the field though, like I realized like I was 17 when I first started playing. When I had my first game starting was against Alabama playing Jalen Milroe. Man, they had Jalen Milroe in the backfield, Jahmyr Gibbs in the backfield. I said, yeah, it was a tough experience, but I feel like I battled a lot of adversity.
Yeah, a couple of times there, and again, some ups and downs with the wins and losses as well. And then the coaching change. Is that when you started thinking about getting in the portal?
Yeah, especially after my coach had died, a whole bunch of like coaching shifts in the staff had changed, and like instead of like the weak side end being on the ground, they were dropping more, and I wasn't really fitting what I came to college for or playing football for. So I feel like after all that situation happened and Jimbo got fired, a whole new staff came in that I never really knew. So I just knew I had to enter in that portal for my situation. My whole college experience just changed.
Did you have a pretty open mind when you went in the portal, or were you thinking Alabama from the start?
Not open mind. Like I always keep my mind open. I don't ever just want to like always just depend on just one thing. But I just feel like after narrowing it down, like Alabama was just that choice. Like they mean business. Like when you come to Alabama, you know you're gonna get success out of come to Alabama.
And then who were some of the main recruiters? And this was also before Coach Saban retired. So what was that experience like, kind of going through the change immediately after you got here?
It was crazy. After we lost the Rose Bowl, got here, got back, flew down. There was a quick meeting the next day, like a random meeting. And it was Saban called it, and we were like, okay, what are we gonna do? Like, what does he got planned for us? He was talking about, hey, I'm sorry, like about everything, but my last year, guys, I'm retiring. It just hit me hard, cause I was like, man, is the whole coaching staff gonna change? My coach gonna get fired? Like, I came down here to play for Coach Roach. Is he gonna get fired? Like, what am I gonna do? But then like the coaching staff that remained, like their whole message was, hey, just remain faithful, like just believe, like we're gonna bring in somebody that will fit the best. And they brought in the board, and I could just tell, like I love his vibe. Like he brings in a younger generational vibe, but he makes sure like it's not just one-sided. Like he's around everybody, like from walk-on to O-line to D-line, not just the offense, but everybody. And it's valid. Like it's something I could deal with.
Have you gotten to talk with him much one-on-one?
Oh, yeah. Like, I have DeBoer's number. Like, never had a head coach on Snapchat. I have DeBoer's Snapchat. Like, it's crazy. Like, that's how connected that's how connected he is with his team, like, with his players.
That's really cool to see, and especially just being accessible to you guys. And I imagine that goes with your defensive coordinator as well. What have you liked about Coach Womack?
Man, he old school, and I love that. Like, he's not old school himself, but he always has his dad around, and I could tell like him and his dad, they know something. Like the defense he's running, I'm like, yeah, it's different, but it's good. And I feel like his rationale, like the way he explains things and the way like he does things defensively, you could just tell he knows what he's doing. And like but the main thing like I love about him is how like connected he tries to get with his guys, like all positions. He's always laughing, giggling, making a joke here and there, and yeah.
That's really good. Has it been a huge change, kind of learning his defense as opposed to what was previously there?
I really didn't have to learn it because I didn't get to play in the Rose Bowl. Yeah, but I could tell like it's way more simpler than it was. Like I saw the old playbook that Alabama had. It was fun. Yeah, I feel like that's like a big playbook is where a lot of defenses get too confused instead of simpling it down. That's what he does now. He makes sure he simples it down so we could just go out and play. Like just go out and play. That's what his main thing is.
What do you like about your position player room right now and some of the different personalities and the guys you get to be competitive with, especially during the spring? Yeah. And then I know everyone's going to have that common goal once we get to the fall, but I mean, you guys are pretty competitive, I imagine.
And I love the guys in the D-line room. Like, it's a whole different change from the D-line room at A&M because, we had, like, a whole bunch of 5-stars, so we got a whole bunch of guys that, like, just know the game. Like, but I feel like the D-line here is, like, way more connected. Like, we have people – a lot of them are from Alabama and some from Mississippi, so, like, they know – like, they're in the same area and they connect a lot. Like, and then one of the main things I really do love about our one of the guys named TK is that, like, we're all, like, Christ oriented. Like, we always talk about Jesus. He always brings it in, like, he makes sure, like, if y'all want to come to Bible study, I got y'all, like, and he be preaching to us. So it's just a good D-line vibe all around.
Yeah, you guys are competitive with each other, and then especially in the spring, you're competitive with the offensive line. Have you enjoyed some of those battles?
Man, those battles got crazy. Like, DeBoer's big motto, no fights. But you got something, like, it gets to the point, it gets to that point. But, yeah, the battles are good. Like, I've never seen, like, such intense practices, and, like, we mainly, like, do good on good. Like, those guys, like, we be battling. Like, we get good work in every day.
Who are some of the linemen you went up against the most?
Wilkin and Miles and Caden. Not Caden, but Pritchard. Those guys. Like, it's a whole different, because Miles is more big, so you can't really bull him. Can't really, like, use all power, so you got to finesse him. But then you have athletic guys like Pritchard and Wilkin, and then where you have to start using different moves. So it's a different lineup for every matchup I get.
You look forward to going up against Caden Proctor at some point?
Oh, yeah. I love me some Proctor, bro. Like, I'm glad I'm glad, if he's watching this, I'm glad he came back, because that's just great competition. Like, that O-lineman like Proctor is who will get you better.
Yeah, and that's why you're at Alabama, right? It's because you're able to have all those tough practices, and then sometimes the games are easier than the practice, and it helps you get ready for the next level.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's certainly good. What are you most excited about for this fall?
I really don't know why I'm about to say this, but really fall camp. I've never really been excited for fall camp about the 2 years I've been playing football, but I feel like this fall camp's going to be different. I feel like this fall camp we going to, like, get good work in and build more team chemistry, because it's like a whole new team, kind of really like a new team coming in, especially on the defensive side. But I feel like this fall camp will really build that chemistry we need up.
Do you feel like one of the leaders on this team, even though you've only been here for a few months, but have you taken some ownership in a leadership role?
Yeah, and I feel like my ownership, my
like leadership. Yeah,
I feel like it can get better too. Like, I can expand on. I feel like I'm more like a quiet leader right now. Like, I'll tell guys, hey, we gotta do this. Like, you gotta lock in on these like playbook and stuff. But I feel like I'd be more vocal. I should be more of a vocal leader.
Who are some of those vocal guys that really step up?
You got TK. You got my boy Zebo, Tim. And then you got Malachi Moore, and you got D-Law, all of them.
That's really good. We're going to have Tim Keenan coming up. What should we ask him when he's sitting in that chair next week?
Ooh. But ask him what his favorite flavor of music is, because he's like, he knows that good. He knows them good, especially some old school songs. He knows the songs.
So follow him on Spotify or anything? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's certainly good. We're really excited, LT, that you're part of the Crimson Tide football family. Again, you grew up here for a while. You got to see all of it. We're glad you're in Crimson. We're glad you're going to be suiting up for the Crimson Tide this fall. Just thank you so much for your time, your insights you've given us here on Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. It's been a blast. Roll Tide.
Appreciate it.
NASCAR is taking racing to the next level this 4th of July weekend with the return of the Chicago Street Race. Between experiencing world-class racing through the twists and turns of downtown Chicago's Grant Park to an entertainment-filled weekend with your favorite artists including Keith Urban, the Chainsmokers, the Black Keys, and Lauren Elena, there is something for everyone to enjoy. Don't miss out on your chance to be part of the most talked-about event of the summer. Check this once-in-a-lifetime event off your bucket list and lock in your tickets today at NASCARchicago.com. Roll Tide and welcome back to Bryant-Denny Stadium at the Advantage Center. I'm Roger Hoover. Now, please be joined by Crimson Tide defensive back Malachi Moore. It's time to go inside the episode for the Bama Standard, fueled by Gatorade and Malachi, a captain from last year. Roll Tide, how's the offseason going for you and the Crimson Tide?
Roll Tide, it's been going great. Everybody's been having good energy so far in these first couple of weeks that we've been having, and every day it seems like we're progressing. So we've been having a lot of fun and working hard.
What do you like about this time of the year?
I would say we're being very intentional with making relationships with our teammates on both sides of the ball. I think that's something big, and we do this thing called Dap It Up at the end of like our practices or whatever. We just go dap up the people on the other side of the ball. So it's like more like a brotherhood, and you can tell like whoever you win against that day, what you see that can make him better and stuff like that. So we've been having a lot of positivity going around in the facility from just players leaning in, buying into the standard and what we have to do to be successful.
Now, we know you're one of the best defensive backs in the SEC, so I'll preface this question by saying that who have been some tough wideouts and guys to go up against for you so far in practice, even going back to the spring?
Yeah, me and KP, Kobe Prentice, we always go at it in the slot every practice. It's been fun, but Bub, really all the receivers have been looking good, man. If I'm being completely honest, from K-Law to Germ to Turbo, E-Man, it's really a lot of people, and Coach Shep doing a great job of just coaching those guys and developing them at a fast rate.
I feel like getting to know him too, even though he's not coaching your position. I mean, you guys see what they're doing each and every day.
Right. Yeah, Coach Shep, he's a talker. That's the one thing I like about Shep. He always gonna bring that energy from the first. We walking on the field stretching. He down there with the DBs telling us it's gonna be a long day for y'all. It's gonna be a long day for y'all. Stuff like that. But it's fun, and that's just who Shep is. But he's also a great coach and a great leader in his room.
Tell me about the energy, too, at practice, because I think everybody was a little surprised when they heard, okay, Alabama football has music going at practice. Is that something you guys knew going in, or all of a sudden you hear it for the first time once you're out there?
We kind of knew. Coach DeBoer kind of brought the leadership group in that night, and that was, I think we met for like an hour and 30, like the first night he was here. He was just trying to get the feel for everything and get everybody's opinions and what traditions that we have here. He was just trying to know what Alabama football was about. So we were telling him this and that, and then he told us like, yeah, like at practice we're gonna have music. We just all looked at each other like, for real? Like, but nah, it's been fun though. We got a couple of songs on the playlist where people, everybody on the team kind of know while we warming up, and so everybody be singing it at the same time. So it's kind of cool to see that because we've never had anything like that. But I think it's also good for communication wise. Like you had the music on, you had to be able to talk loud and communicate at all times during the game when it's a rowdy stadium too. So I think it goes both ways.
Tell us more about that night when you first met with Coach DeBoer and you met with the leaders. What was most important for you to say during a time like that to him?
I told him, I made it a point to tell him how much I respected him as a man by the way he came in and took this job, because a lot of people didn't want this job. Like nobody wanted to be the guy after Coach Saban because like they're afraid of the results might not be there or whatever. But Coach DeBoer kind of just like took it on head on, and he just took his team to a national championship. That's what made it even more like not surprising, but made me have more respect for him, just because you just took your team to a natty, and you could easily just say like, I'm gonna build something here. But for you to come step in right behind the greatest college football coach of all time, it says something about you as a person and a man.
It really does. So with that, how'd you like how practice was organized? I mean, how different was it compared to a Saban style practice?
I think the organization is good. It's kind of hard to tell because we have only had like a camp setting like practice, because it's basically been all good on good. But it's been fun. I think our practices are very productive, and I feel like we're constantly moving the whole time, if that makes sense. And like we're taking advantage of every rep that we get, all the reps that we get. Everybody is utilizing that and utilizing it to our potential.
How did the D-backs get better over the course of the spring?
Yeah, I think the spring for the defense was kind of a challenging part of the transition for us, just because me especially, like just being in Saban defense for so long and only knowing like one way to run defense and then to have a whole new style come in. It took some adjusting because they teaching different techniques and different ways to play the game that we weren't open to. But if you just allow yourself to just be a listener, like just listen and take advice in from people and try to gain knowledge from different people, and then that can ultimately help you build to your game and put tools in your toolbox that you might not have known. But the DBs have been doing a great job. I just think the corners and the safeties, that like we've been doing a good job of just getting extra work in and really like trying to talk to each other about what we're seeing on the field as soon as we come off, and we challenge each other. That's one thing that we always do. We challenge each other, and we're gonna call each other out when one of our teammates is not stepping up to the standard. But that goes for anybody on the team, any position on the team.
Well, you were certainly a leader last year, being voted by your teammates as a team captain, but you also had some experience with you in the secondary with Terron Arnold, with Kool-Aid. You guys have played a lot of games together. Now for you, as one of the guys that has started a lot of SEC games before, do you love being a leader even more because you have that playing experience?
Definitely. I think that playing experience just gives me the tools to help out younger guys see the game faster and learn the game faster. It might be a certain formation and they play it a certain way, but you really need to play it like this versus this type of formation, and just to give them like little knowledges and a little piece of the game that I've learned on the way, and even being transparent with them. Like if they see something that they think can help me, like y'all can come tell me that too. Like I think that's one thing on our team that we've been doing a good job of during this offseason is everybody holding everybody accountable. And when I say everybody, I mean the freshman can hold the senior accountable, the senior can hold the freshman accountable, and it not be no bad blood between it, because we all trying to reach one ultimate goal. But yeah.
And with that, the lines of communication we hear are completely open, not just with you guys, but with Coach DeBoer, your assistants as well.
Right. Yeah, Coach DeBoer, he's a player's coach. He kind of wants us to have a player-led team, and us to, like, he really values our opinions on what do you guys want to wear on this, what do y'all want to eat, what y'all want to do for this or that. And it's really really fun just to have him interact with us in a different type of way. You know what I'm saying? So like we never had, like Coach Saban, he interacted with us, but we like never had Coach Saban number or anything like that. So it's kind of cool to see Coach DeBoer. You know, he's a little bit younger than Coach Saban, so he's a little bit more modern, a little bit more, I wouldn't say caught up to speed, but caught up to speed. But no, it's been great though.
I got you. And speaking of the leadership, it was one of my favorite parts from the episode we just saw, the Bama Standard fueled by Gatorade, the Denny Chimes ceremony where the captains are all there getting their handprints, their cleat marks in cement. It's going to stay forever at the base of Denny Chimes. How meaningful was that experience for you? Because you got to see some of the great players that came before you. Now the name Malachi Moore is going to be there forever too.
It was an experience. I don't think anybody, you can really prepare yourself like emotionally and like just thinking of what it was, because like after we gave our speech and we walked down to go put our hand in the cement in our cleat, you just look down to see like all the names of the greats that have came through here, and just to be among those guys is really an honor and a blessing.
Cool moment for you and your family, of course. You grew up not too far away in Trussville. Just how much of this is a dream come true, what you've been able to do here in Alabama?
It's definitely a dream come true. I'm not gonna lie to you. As being a little kid, team captain wasn't something that was like on my goals to do in life. But I just think God put you in certain situations for certain reasons, and I feel like He kind of put me in a situation where He knew like leading is not something that's comfortable though. So it's a very uncomfortable thing, and then you've had seniors and other leaders in front of you that have had that role. Now it's on you, like just thrown into the fire. So it was something I was kind of learning with and learning on the fly more last year than this year. And I'm just glad that my teammates could see that I was trying and that I was giving it my all.
You give that to your football family here. We mentioned you're not from too far away. How much does your family help you, and how much are they coming down here? How much you going back there to make sure you spend some time with them, especially at this time of the year?
Yeah, I just think this time of the year is the biggest time. Anytime I get to go down the road, I'll try to do that, just because once the season get rolling, they're always coming down here. But it's fun to go home, get a nice cooked meal, and just kind of, when I go home, it's kind of like a reset button. Like, brings me back to like youth football, high school days, like in my room, like where basically like this is where it all started from. That's kind of, I kind of get like motivation off that when I go home. like just being grounded, like really like never forgetting where you came from. So like just being in that room, just thinking of all the times that I wanted to be at Bama, watching Bama highlights, defensive highlights late at night, and then just to be here is really a blessing.
Who was your guy? Who was that one player you really modeled yourself after?
I would say I watched Minka a lot when I was being recruited and coming in to school. I watch him a lot. I still watch him now with the Steelers, and he always got the ball in his hand. So that's something I just try to pick up on, and little tendencies that he has.
That's really good. And, of course, a lot of kids are now looking up to Malachi Moore and saying, I want to be Malachi Moore. I want to play at Alabama, following his footsteps. So you got to see a lot of those little guys at the Malachi Moore football camp. You got the T-shirt on now. How much fun was that for you?
That was a lot of fun. It was a great turnout. I think we had, like, between 170 and 180 kids out there. It's, like, supposed to be, like, 200. But I'm glad the ones who could make it made it. And it was just real fun. It was a very joyful, happy day for me just to see all the kids out there having fun and kind of looking at me like I used to look at other players when I would go to like camp as a little kid. And it was just fun to finally put that together with all the people that helped out with the camp, and we had a wonderful time.
Was that one of the best things that can come out of name, image, and likeness?
Yeah, I would think so. Just being able to use your platform in a positive way to impact your community. I feel like it was definitely something that it's been something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and just to do it this year and to have the turnout that we had, I was very happy about it.
Now, did you model your speech to all the campers kind of like Coach Saban or Coach DeBoer at all?
I kind of just went off the dome, really. I had HaHa there, so HaHa he do all the speeches and stuff, so I know he gonna hit the nail on
Hype man, yeah.
You feel me? But yeah, sometimes I've caught myself acting like Coach Saban a little bit. Not acting like, but just walking around to different the stations, like he in fourth quarter, how he just walk around, go to all the stations. Same thing with Coach DeBoer though. But yeah, I kind of felt like a head coach just a little bit.
That's good. Maybe it's in your future one day.
Maybe.
Well, right now your future is the summer, getting bigger, faster, and stronger, getting ready to go for this fall. Just what's the focus going to be for this football team right before we get ready for fall camp?
I would say just go 1-0 every day. 1-0 with everything from your meals to your class to your homework to tutoring to meetings, your reps on the field, off the field, 1-0 in your recovery. I think that's something that's been instilled when Coach DeBoer got here. He always talked about 1-0, and then it's just something I've been really just leaning into, like the 1-0 mentality. If you think about this rep, like just win this rep and just focus on the things that you need to focus on, you'll look up and be where you need to be. But I think our biggest thing just needs to be consistency. At the end of the day, just come in and work hard every day. Everybody in the team, everybody in the country doing the same thing, hard workouts, and all of that. It's just going to be who's the more mentally tough team.
Last question. This is, again, inside the episode of the Bama Standard Fueled by Gatorade, just to Malachi Moore. What does it mean, the Bama Standard?
The Bama Standard, it means a lot. It's a lot of, it holds weight when somebody says the Bama Standard. Like when people say the Bama Standard, like everybody tends to know what the Bama Standard is, but the Bama Standard is coming in, putting your head down, going to work every day, regardless of how you feel when you wake up or how your body's feeling, if you're sore, tired, no matter what it is. It's just coming in, going to work every day with your brother and pulling people along with you. It's going out there and affecting your community in a positive way. It's being to class on time. It applies to everything in life.
Malachi Moore, you've done that extremely well. Thank you so much for your time. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
NASCAR is coming back to Chicago.
Gonna be a good one.
The biggest names in music headline the stage, while the brightest stars in NASCAR chase the checkered flag. The Chicago Street Race Weekend. For tickets and experiences, visit NASCARchicago.com.
Well, from football, we go to the last sport that closed up the spring schedule for the Crimson Tide, and that was the track and field team. This past week in Eugene, Oregon, the track and field national championships held by the NCAA. And at the center of our screen is we're going to take a look at Alabama's award winners from the NCAA meet. We have Doris Lehman-Gole. She is the national champion. A first-place finish in the 300-meter steeplechase, had a time of 9:15.24. Great to see another national champion. We visited with Philip Planenchek, a national champion in tennis just a week ago, and now Doris Lehman-Gole, the next and newest national champion for the University of Alabama. Some other great finishers from track and field looking at the men's side. Samuel Ogazi's taking second place in the 400 meter. Victor Kiprop also a second place finish, the national runner-up in the 1,000 meter, and then Chris Robinson as well in the 400 meter hurdles had a time of 47.98 to also be a national runner-up. And taking a look at the women's side, Doris Lehman-Gole, not only the national champion in the 300 meter steeplechase, but in the 3,000 meter steeplechase, she also set a school record. So really great to see that for her in both events. The 3,000 meter steeplechase, love seeing that for Doris. Hilda Olomomoy in the 1,000 meter had a second place finish, so a national runner-up as well for her in the 5,000 meters. So great performances by Alabama track and field. We love highlighting them, especially Doris Lehman-Gole, the newest national champion for the Crimson Tide. The Chicago Street Race Weekend is the can't-miss event of the summer. Don't miss out on the opportunity to witness the thrill of NASCAR stock cars battling for the checkered flag through the iconic streets of downtown Chicago, July 6th and 7th. Lock in your tickets today at NASCARChicago.com. Well, before we say goodbye here on Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, it's time to take a look at what's coming up across the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Thanks to our friends at Wickles Pickles. They are wickedly delicious. We have the relish with us on set today here in Tuscaloosa. More tasty products available online at WicklesPickles.com. Well, coming up on the Crimson Tide Sports Network, we will continue to have Crimson Drive driven by NASCAR over the next 2 weeks. Like, joined us live today or possibly on demand. We are always live with the show on Thursday afternoons at 2 o'clock Central on all CTSN social media platforms. We'll be back next week, continuing to take a look at inside the episode editions of the Bama Standard Fueled by Gatorade, plus a conversation as well with Alabama defensive lineman Tim Keenan. Got to hear from LT Overton this week, and now Tim Keenan III will be joining us coming up next week. So that'll be next Thursday at 2 o'clock. Another edition after that before we take a little bit of a summer break, and then before you know it, it's time to talk about SEC Media Days, football season starting, a lot of basketball news as well. It is going to continue to be a very busy summer for us here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Make sure you're following us on all social media platforms to stay up to date with the Alabama Crimson Tide. Special thanks to Ethan Carabin, our video producer, for putting this show together. Thanks to all of you for watching. From everyone here at the Crimson Tide Sports Network, this is Roger Hoover wishing you a great weekend ahead, and roll Tide.